Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be showing you guys how I made this simple shift dress with a cold shoulder ruffled sleeve. So this dress has a belt, as you can see me tying it at the back, but you can wear this dress with or without the belt. It's still going to look very beautiful. So this video is very detailed and very beginners friendly. So guys, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, share with your loved ones. So let's jump right into the video. So for this style, I made use of 2 yards of crepe fabric. So the material you'll be needing for this particular dress depends on the size of the person you are sewing for. So but for me, I made use of 2 yards of fabric. So we'll be drafting on our pattern paper because the material is not stable and might not give us the accurate measurements while drafting on it. So I have my pattern paper here, my ruler, my scissors, my tape rule. So let's go ahead to draft out the pattern. So I'm working on a single pattern paper. It's not in a fold of two. So this particular pattern is what I'm going to use to cut both the front and the back panel because it's not going to have any zipper and it's a shift dress. So the first thing you want to do is to draw out a starting line at the top of your paper. So this line is going to be the shoulder line where you're going to take all your vertical measurements from. So from the shoulder line, I'm going to place my tape rule on the shoulder line this way, and then I'll mark my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches, my shoulder to my waistline, which is 16 inches, and my shoulder to my hip line, which is 23 inches. Then the full length of this dress is 37 inches. So you can work with whatever length you want for your own. So I mark 37 inches there, and then I'll mark the folding allowance when cutting on the fabric. So I'll go ahead now to extend these lines this way. So I'll further extend the lines this way. So after extending the lines, let's go ahead to label them together. So the first line is the shoulder line, the second is the bust point, the third line is the waistline, this is the hip line, and the last line is the full length of the dress. So the first thing you want to do is to mark your shoulder to shoulder measurements divided by 2 on the shoulder line. So for me it's 8 inches, but since it's kind of a sleeveless dress, I'm going to take out 1 inch. So I'm going to mark 7 inches there. And then from that point, I'm going to come down by my round armhole measurements divided by 2, which is 9 inches for me. And then I'll use my ruler to connect the 2 points together. So after connecting, I'll further extend the line this way. So the next thing I want to do is to place the neckline measurement. So for the wideness of the neckline, I'm going to be making use of 4 inches. So notice that you can decide to use any style of neckline for your own dress. And then for the depth of mine, I'll be making use of 3 inches. So I'll take my curved ruler and just connect the points together. So the next thing to do is to mark the shoulder slope. So I'll come down to this point now and come down by 1 inch. And then I'll use the ruler to connect it to meet my neckline width. And then on this line, I'll take the midpoint, which is 4 inches. And then mark my round bust measurements divided by 4 on this new line I just drew, which is 10.5 inches for me. Alright, now use my curved roller to just form my armhole curve. So after doing that, this is what we have. So the next thing I want to do now is to place the round body measurement. So on the bust line, my round bust measurements divided by 4 is 10.5 inches. I'll add 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance, making 12.5 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark 12.5 inches on the bust line. And then on the waistline, my round waist measurements divided by 4 is 9.5 inches, 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance, making 11.5 inches. So I'll mark 11.5 inches on the waistline. And then on the hip line, my round hip measurements divided by 4 is 11.5 inches, 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance, making 13.5 inches. And then on the full length of the dress, I'll go ahead to mark the same 13.5 inches there. I'll mark it there. And then the next thing to do is to take my ruler and connect all the points together. So I'll use my ruler to connect the bust line down to meet the waistline. And then from the waist to the hip, I'm making use of my hip curve just to give it this curvy look so that it won't appear too straight. So I'll cut it out this way. And then from the hip line down to the full length, I'll just use my ruler to connect the points together. So after connecting, I'll just blend in the hip line this way. And then I'll extend this line to meet the chest line, the armhole line. So this is basically all we needed for the dress, both the front and the back pattern. So I'll go ahead now to cut this pattern out. So I'll just go ahead now to cut it out. So after cutting out, this is what we have. So when cutting on your fabric, go ahead to fold your fabric into two this way. And make sure the center front, the place I pointed at, is on the closed angle of your paper, just as you can see me doing. Go ahead to pin the paper on it this way and cut it out. So by the time you open it up, you'll have your full front bodies and your full back bodies. So I'll do that now and show you guys what it looks like. So after using the pattern to cut on my fabric, this is what we have. So I have both the front and the back panels here, as you can see. So let me flip it over to the other side. I also added 2 inches to the lower part for the folding allowance to give it a neat finishing. And then on the shoulders, I added half an inch for joining. So let's go ahead to remove the pattern. So I'll show you guys the next thing to do. So after taking off the pattern paper, this is what it looks like. So the front and the back panel is exactly the same. So you have to just mark out the one you want to use as the back and the one you want to use as the front. So the first thing you want to do is to finish up the neckline, and I'm making use of the bias strip. So I'll go ahead and place the bias strip on the right side of my neckline, and I will stitch it down all the way around it. I'll stitch it at the edge of the neckline, and when I'm done doing that, I'll flip it over to the wrong side and stitch it down. So I'll repeat the same thing for the armhole area, but since we are having kind of a cold shoulder sleeve on the armhole, I'm only going to finish the armhole area down to the point where my cold shoulder sleeve is going to start. So I want my cold shoulder sleeve to start 5 inches from the shoulder line. So I'll take my chalk and mark 5 inches from the shoulder line, and then I'll go ahead to notch that point so that I'll know where to stop when I'm finishing the armhole. So I'm only going to finish from the shoulder line down to these 5 inches that I notched. I hope you guys understand. I'll stop there. So I'll repeat the same thing for the other side. I'll take 5 inches down. I'll take 5 inches down and mark it this way, and then I'll notch it. So when finishing the armhole area, I'm going to stop on the notched area, just as you can see, and I'll leave the other side opened. So when I'm done doing finishing the neckline and the armhole, I'll show you guys. So after turning over the neckline and the armhole area with my bias strip, this is what it looks like. So I stopped on the 5 inches point that I notched, and the remaining part is going to be for my sleeve, the part I left unfinished. So this is what it looks like for both the front and the back panel. So the next thing I want to do is to place the fabrics right sides facing each other. So I went ahead to cut out these loops I'll be using for the belt hole on the sides of my dress. So I'll place them right sides facing each other, just as you can see me doing in the video. And then I'll start with the shoulder area. I'll go ahead to stitch the shoulders down together using my half an inch seam allowance. I'll do it for this side, and I'll do it for the other side. I'll stitch it down, and then when I'm done doing that, I'll go ahead to join the sides. So when joining the sides using my 1 inch seam allowance, I'm going to insert my loop on directly on the waistline. I'll insert it this way. So you can use your pins to just secure this down while you are doing it. So while sewing, I will insert my loop this way. Let me just use my pin to hold it down so that you guys can understand. I'll hold it down and stitch it, and then I'll fix the other end of the loop inside the stitch again this way. Let me just use my pin to hold it down so that you guys will understand what I'm doing. So when I stitch it down, I'm going to have something that looks like this on the outer part of my dress on the right side. So this is going to be the the part where the belt is going to pass through on the waistline. So I'll do the same thing for the other side of my dress. I'll stitch it down and insert my loop. And when I'm done doing that, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after joining the shoulders and closing up the sides, this is what it looks like. So this is the belt hole directly on the waistline, just like I said earlier, directly on the waistline. This is what it looks like on the other side. I also went ahead to fold in the base. I folded it in twice and stitched it all the way around it. And then I ironed out the dress. So the next thing we want to move to is the sleeve. So I'll go ahead to cut it out and then I'll show you guys the next thing to do. So for the sleeve, I have my fabric cut out already and it's in a fold of two. So I'm cutting out the two sleeves together. So I have two fabrics here. So for the length of my sleeve, I'm making use of 18 inches. It's kind of like a full length sleeve. So I have 19 inches here because of the folding at the base. So I'm going to get my fabric now and place the armhole on the open angle of the fold. So I'm going to place it starting from the point where I stopped where I stopped finishing the armhole. I'll place it this way on it. I'll place it this way on it. I'll make sure I leave some few like an half of an inch at the side or 1 inch on this side for joining the sleeve. So place it this way on it and then I'll use my chalk to just trace it out, and I'll trace it out very well. So this is what we have after tracing out. And then for the wideness of the sleeve, I made use of 8 inches. But by the time I close it up, I'll be left with 7 inches. So I'll go ahead now to cut it out. So after cutting out, this is what we have. So the next thing I want to do now is to cut out the opening we have on the side of the sleeves. So depending on how open you want yours to be, you can make use of anything you want for this particular part. But for me, I made use of 13 inches. If you don't want yours to be as open as mine, you can make use of 10 inches, 8 inches, 9 inches. And then I'll connect that point now down to meet the armhole area this way. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. So even if you can see it, just follow exactly what I'm doing. So just connect it this way to form like a slant, as you can see me doing, and then I'll go ahead to cut it out. Go ahead to cut it out this way. So after cutting out, this is what we have. Let me go ahead to open the sleeve. So this point now is going to be where the ruffles will stay. That's where we're going to be stitching the ruffles. So I'll go ahead to cut out the fabric we'll be using for the ruffles, and then I'll show you guys how to attach it to it. So I've cut out the fabric I'll be using to form the gathers on the sleeve. So to get the length of fabric you need, go ahead to measure what you have on the opened area. So after measuring mine, I have 14.5 inches on both sides. So that is 29 inches. Then I went ahead to cut out 50 inches long fabric. At least that will be enough. So for the height of the fabric, I have 5 inches here. So by the time I fold it in, I'll be left with 4 inches. So I'll go ahead to fold the base of the fabric before I start attaching it to my sleeve. So I'll place my sleeve this way. So I'll fold in the base before I start, just like I said. So after folding, I'm going to go ahead and place the right side of the fabric facing the wrong side of my sleeve. Right side of the fabric facing the wrong side of my sleeve. I'll place it this way and then I'll join it together, and as I'm joining it, I'll keep pleating the fabric. So you can go ahead and gather your fabric first before you do this. So after gathering the fabric, you can attach it to the sleeve. So when I turn it over, it's going to fall on the right side that way, forming the ruffles. So I'll place it on it this way, just like I'm explaining. So I'll put the same thing for the other sleeve of camera, and when I'm done doing that, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after joining the fabric to the sleeve, forming the gathers, this is what it looks like. So like I said, right side facing the wrong side of the sleeve. So right now, I'll go ahead to flip it over to the right side. So this is what it's going to look like on the sleeve, on the right side of the sleeve. This is what it's going to look like. So I'll go ahead to just notch this lower part to make turning over easy, and then I'll iron it out very well. I'll iron that part out very well so that it will be very stable on the sleeve. So the next thing to do now is to close up the sleeve this way, right sides facing each other. And then using my 1 inch seam allowance, I'll go ahead to close up the sides of the sleeve. I'll close it up all the way down. So I've also gone ahead to finish up the base of my sleeve. So after doing that, this is what the sleeve looks like. This is what it looks like. So I'm here to iron it. I just want to show you guys how to attach it to your dress. So this is what the sleeve looks like underneath the ruffle. So for the dress, the parts that we did not finish, the parts that will be having the cold shoulder, I'm going to go ahead and open it up this way. I'll open it up. Then the point where I join the bodies together, I'm going to match it with the point where I join the sleeve. And then I'll use my pins to just hold it down. And then I'll continue holding it down with my pins down to the point where I stopped finishing the armhole area. I'll do the same thing for the other side. So you can see that the sleeve fits in perfectly into the unfinished part. And then I'll sew it all the way around it using 1/2 inch. So by the time we are done attaching the sleeve, this is what it's going to look like on the dress. This is what the sleeve will look like on the dress after attaching it. So I'll go ahead to attach the sleeve to it on this side, and I'll do the same thing for the other side. So when I'm done attaching the sleeve to the dress, I'm going to show you guys what the finished product of the top looks like. So after attaching the sleeve to the dress, this is what it looks like. So you can see how neat it came out, and you can see the ruffles falling on it. So I've also gone ahead to iron it out very well, and this is the other side. I've also cut out the belts I'll be using for the dress. I folded it into two and I turned it over to the right side and gave it a good press, and this is what it looks like. So the length of this fabric is my round waist measurements multiplied by 2. So guys, this is where I'll be ending this video for today. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share with your loved ones, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.